Some things going on behind the scenes of Cobra Kai 5 are looking even more dramatic than they did on screen. Keep watching to see. Terry's knockout. The most intense fight of the season between Daniel LaRusso and Terry Silver shocked every fan. Seeing Daniel ignore everything he learned from Mr. Miyagi to use Terry's teachings against him was a moment of joy and a big victory. Who would have thought Terry could be knocked down so fast? Well, given that it was his methods that Daniel used, he sure knows how dangerous it is now. According to Ralph Macchio, who plays Daniel, the behind the scenes of this particular fight were difficult. He said, "Well, the prep for the first fight with Silver in episode 5 was a lot more. That was a much bigger meal. It was a whole day and it was a lot. It was pretty intense, and Thomas is a martial artist." For Thomas Ian Griffith, who plays Terry, to be a martial artist in real life with his intimidating height almost made fans pity him before the fight began. He was a big challenge for Ralph, as he mentioned, saying, "And he's 6'6" or 5, whatever. No one is at eye level, but with Thomas, it's tough. He's got those long arms and legs coming at you." Don't forget, Terry also initially fought Chosen and knocked him down, despite knowing some of Terry's methods. So when Ralph says it's challenging, believe him. However, the filming of this scene gets even more interesting. Despite how difficult Ralph was finding the fight, he said the writers were having fun watching them. He also talked about how he made sure he shot down the scene for the fans' entertainment, because to him, it was about the fans and he wasn't having fun at all. Ralph was only making sure he didn't get hit by Thomas and was worried if he would ever be able to raise his leg high enough for the crane kick, which he delivered perfectly. And also, it's obvious Thomas downplayed his strength just to make Ralph win according to the script, because he barely even threw a punch. The sword fight. Season 5 was going so well without dangerous fights until Terry got provoked when Chosen, Mike and Johnny broke into his home. That didn't go down so well because Terry had swords for the karate fight, and at one point it looked like Chosen had an advantage after he brought out his sais, but everything went south later with Terry winning the fight. The showrunner, John Hurwitz, revealed some behind the scenes of this dangerous combat, saying how it started and how it was developed. John said they had to make Terry and Chosen fight with weapons because they were the only two characters that weren't scared of getting hurt. Then he mentioned why they opted for a sword for Terry, and that's because the actor Thomas mentioned he was very good at swinging swords. So, the sword swinging that the fans saw Terry display weren't just fake stunts. It was the actor showing up and using his real-life training. Intense training. The younger cast of the show had to learn every kick and move they've been displaying so far, right from season 1 to season 5. And they all signed up for martial arts while filming, but they all didn't learn without getting bruised and wounded. It was a tough one. The stunt coordinator of the show, Hiro Koda, who also coordinated for Stranger Things, said the training was difficult for the young cast. But luckily enough, William Zabka and Ralph still remember their Karate Kid training, and they easily caught up. Hiro, however, mentioned that the young actors learned quickly despite being new to the whole system. He said, "The difficult part was that some of them got very good very quickly, and we had to hold them back and say, well, you can't be that good yet. You've kind of got to slow it down a little bit and not look as good." That sounds like a big step for the younger actors, and it's an important skill that won't only help them in Cobra Kai, but in future roles as well. One of the younger cast that started training early was hit the most. Xolo Maridueña, who plays Miguel, was the first student on the show, and probably because he was the first, he got very difficult lessons. Xolo said he went through boxing, professional stunts, strength, yoga instructions, and martial arts from the beginning, and even more in season 5. He talked about his experience when he said, "It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. It wasn't just about learning martial arts, it was about the entire task of learning martial arts and then using it in a way that could be choreographed and filmed." His training was worth it because he became someone other students could look up to in season 5. Behind the rivalry. It's been a long journey of love and hatred between Sensei Johnny and Sensei Daniel. These two are like grown-up babies when they encounter each other, and it's amusing to the fans how they keep falling out at any slight disagreement. Unlike other relationships on the show, it's obvious that Johnny and Daniel got a little soft spot for each other, and eventually that was what won them over to each other in season 5. And just as they're now Cobra Kai friends, they are even better friends behind the scenes. They might have separated for a while since they both acted in Karate Kid, but ever since Cobra Kai started, the two have done a lot of catching up and they are buddies. William mentioned how he's been able to develop a great friendship with Ralph over time, and that started when they knew they would be acting in the series, which has brought them closer ever since. William also said that they're being careful to keep respect for Karate Kid and their long history together. It's so great to see how Cobra Kai doesn't only bring about rivalries, but evolves friendships. Bad Sensei. What would Cobra Kai have been like without William Zabka, who plays Johnny Lawrence? Seeing Johnny being himself on screen always makes every Cobra Kai fan giggle. It's unimaginable to think he almost didn't want to be a part of the show because no one would have done it better. After being a very awful villain in Karate Kid, William didn't know his Cobra Kai plot would be a redemption that would make his character a hero. But then, he has his good reasons, as Cobra Kai was meant to be just about him before. The name the creators first chose for the show was Bad Sensei, and obviously, William doesn't want Johnny to be bad anymore. And yes, he later changed his mind about not wanting to be a part of the show to become one of the biggest stars. The fans are absolutely happy he made that choice because they can't imagine Cobra Kai without Sensei Johnny. Uber rides. Johnny was a lot of things in Cobra Kai 5, and being an Uber driver was one of them. His few passengers weren't pleased with him and could barely rate him at all. However, there's one secret here. One of his passengers was a writer on the show who was excited to hop on the ride with Johnny. The writer, Ashley Darnell, wrote one of the season's episodes, Downward Spiral. Don't blame her yet. It's not like many fans wouldn't want Johnny to give them a ride anyway, even though it turns out to be an awful experience later. In case you didn't recognize Ashley, she was the last passenger who promised to rate Johnny badly because the car smelled of beer. William described the behind-the-scenes moments that made Ashley want to jump in his ride when he said, "She's like, I want to be in the car. I want Johnny Lawrence to call me names." I'm like, "Are you sure?" She's like, "Yeah." It was fun. And honestly, that episode looks so far from the karate world as it shows Johnny trying to be a good father to the child he's expecting with Carmen. But it was a fun one to watch, and the fans can understand why Ashley couldn't pass up that fun. The Hawk Hairstyle. Eli, also known as the Hawk, is one amazing character every fan has grown to hate and love. From his hairstyle to his lip and tattoos, the fans are confused between which one is real and which one isn't. The fans, however, can't deny that Hawk's signature hairstyle and tattoo have so much to do with his confidence, and that has made him one of the best fighters in the Valley. The most exciting secret about the behind the scenes of Hawk's hair is that it's real. The actor Jacob Bertrand, who portrays Hawk, mentioned the only thing needed to get his hair ready was just hairspray. But it takes a long time to achieve the Mohawk hairstyle. In his words, Jacob said, "I'll take about an hour and a half to 2 hours with the Mohawk. It's almost all hairspray, which is pretty nuts, and makeup with the back tattoo and the lip. As long as it helps Hawk win, the time spent on it is justified." Relationships on set. The way fans have seen the older and younger cast of the show relate so well is also what it's like behind the scenes. They all enjoy working together, and the fights and rivalries you see don't extend beyond the screen. Ralph mentioned how much he enjoys working with everyone on the show, especially the kids. He also said the writers are very cool to relate with, and that's why it's so easy for the cast to translate what's in the script effortlessly. The harmony and big family play behind the screen is a big factor in the success of every Cobra Kai season, and most especially Season 5. Do these behind-the-scenes secrets change anything for you about Cobra Kai 5? Share your thoughts in the comment section below, and thank you so much for watching.